So just out for my evening walk tonight. This is where I'm, I don't know, day number 48 of the 100, I think. So this is probably like workout 96 or something. I should just come to stay with my mum for a couple of days before I get on another plane. This time back to Malaysia. And this time I've got a one-way ticket, don't quite know when I'm coming back. If ever. Or even if I'm coming back directly to England. I might even do a world trip, who knows. But I've just been catching up with my mother, and it's been a great conversation, lots of things discussed. And one of the things we were just talking about was quite funny, was just this, I spoke in the past about the Irony Club. It's an idea I have occasionally, and it's for me it kind of anchors me to this idea that in a lot of pursuits in life, there's a lot of traps. Often in the most noble pursuits there's always a lot of traps, which is in some sense what makes them so noble. I want to relay an example of that today, a time that I fell into a trap very recently, and certainly nearly fell into it, basically fell into it and nearly fell into it completely. And I was watching a video on YouTube, which was a woman reviewing her experience of going on a 10-day Vipassana retreat meditation. So I was just looking to find out a bit more info, see what people have said, see how they found it. And she was talking about the vegan meals and how the food's really great, and you know there was no animal products there. And one guy said, sort of rather critical whip, said, veganism's a luxury. Veganism only occurs in affluence. You know, it's like you do it because you can. You know, you're lucky thing. And some other guy responded, hang on a second, you know, come on a sec, like, veganism is not only cheaper, but it's actually better for the planet. You can't really argue with that. And the other guy said, well, actually, you know, if you read what the Buddha says, he says that you should always accept a gift. I can't remember the exact wording, but it was, if someone offers you a gift, you must always accept. And then this guy's retort was, well, maybe, you know, you might want to actually sort of sacrifice your need to be right sometimes, you know, and give way to compassion a little bit, smiley face. And this other guy comes back and he had a retort for it. And before, you know, these guys are engaging in a sort of kind of spiritual argument over who's more spiritual and who has the higher ground here. And to me, it seemed clear as day that both of them were being driven by ego. You know, both of them had to be right. Both of them had valid points. But what was really going on here? I mean, if you looked at them, they weren't really, like, you wouldn't have thought they'd kind of necessarily. You kind of think, like, why are you arguing in this context about this subject? I started thinking, God, how annoying it is that these people have so misunderstood this. Really, I'm going to type something. Maybe you should both go on a Vipassana retreat. You know, try and debate them a little bit. Can't you see? You just both have this egoic need to be right. And then I suddenly realised, like, why do I feel the need to write that? Why do I feel the need to get involved? And I started thinking, oh, what a shame that they're almost disrespecting this really noble cause, this humble journey of training our mind and seeing things as they are. How dare they blemish it in such a way? And therein lied the lesson. Sometimes the funny thing is that the more this thing becomes concealed, sometimes the more tarnished it appears to be, the more in jeopardy it might seem. Sometimes that's when it's actually at its strongest. Sometimes that is the lesson. You could argue that if it wasn't for that trap, if it wasn't for that kind of spiritual materialism, maybe the lesson couldn't have even been learned. Maybe the very fact that it was being tarnished in such a way was the very thing that gave rise to the lesson, right? So I sort of laughed at myself a little bit and calmly walked away from the keyboard. It's harder than it sounded. It was actually quite easy by that point, but at first it was really hard. It was like, I really, these guys, I've got to say something. These guys need to learn. They need to know something. They need to learn something. But then I saw what it was, and it kind of became a bit easier. And who knows? I mean, they were commenting a year ago. Like, A, they're not even going to probably read my comment, and B, they've probably laughed at themselves already. Yeah. So there you go, guys. That's all for me. Hope that was useful. I shall chat to you next time.